evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me for my last live of 2025. Who'd have thought we'd have been knocking on the doors of 2026 so soon? Just feels like 2 minutes ago it was December last year, but I'm sure you all probably feel like that. So yes, thank you for joining me. Slightly Christmas edition. Hopefully I've put the tree up just for you guys. Well, this is actually in my front living room, so yeah, a few decorations already here, but yes, I did promise a bit of a festive episode. Sadly, I didn't find a Christmas hat. I have to be honest, I didn't look very hard, if I'm being brutally honest, so yes. Yeah, I just give things a few minutes for people to join and yeah, come and say hello, and then we will start answering a few questions. And I've got a bit I want to talk to you about today, a bit more for those of you that perhaps haven't seen any of the previous lives that I've been doing. I want to talk in depth a little bit more about what I'm going to be doing here in the Georgian Wildlife Garden over the coming months, and also some cool projects I've got coming up. And I wanted to actually ask you a few questions. I thought, with it being the last episode of the year, I wanted to ask some of you who've been following the channel for a while a few questions. So, well, any of you watching this, but hopefully for those of you that have been watching the channel for a while, you might have, yes, a bit more of an idea of what I might be talking about. So, yeah, okay, so thanks. Let's have a look at some of the comments. Louise is logged in. Louise, 3 out of 3. Louise has joined every live this week, which was on Monday, due to be Wednesday, but then Thursday, and of course today. So thanks for joining, Louise. Same with Keith. Well done, Keith. You're all heroes just for logging in to listen to me waffle on for an hour. It won't be waffle, I promise you. It should be entertaining, hopefully. And yeah, fingers crossed there'll be some information that comes out of the conversation that you may not have heard before, or information that you might have been wondering yourselves. So yes, let me have a quick look at some of the comments. Keith said, nice tree, Joel. Thanks, Keith. Yes. Nikki did a fair bit of the decoration this year, I must admit. I did put the little lights up in the bay window here, so yeah, I can say I've put my hand to that this year. I did help with a few of the decorations, but I've been working away quite a lot. So yes, it is a lovely tree. Chinmay, hey Chinmay, haven't heard from you for ages. Chinmay is a good friend of mine. As he said, Merry Christmas, Joel, love from India. Yeah, lovely to see you, Chinmay. Thank you so much for joining me. I did put a little post out on Instagram, a bit late actually. It was about 4 o'clock by the time I thought, why didn't I advertise this to people of Instagram? I've got some fantastic people that I know on Instagram that have been following my work for years. And I thought, well, let's try and get a bit of a cross-party meeting, shall we say, get a few people in from Instagram who may not necessarily follow me on YouTube as well. So great to see you, Chinmay. Thank you so much for joining. Yvonne said hello again and happy Christmas. Thanks, Yvonne. Thank you for joining me. That's very kind of you. Andy's finally joined. I know Andy was trying to get on, I think, Wednesday or Thursday's episode. I can't quite remember, Andy. So, Andy Swinston, thank you so much. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Joel. Nice to see you, Andy. Urban Ghost, hey, nice to see you again. I know you've been following the channel for a very long time, so really good to see you. Said, hey, hi, Joel. Great to catch you live. Merry Christmas. Yes, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. I can't even say it. Merry Christmas to you all, indeed. Yeah, I hope you're all getting ready for some festive cheer and spending some time with all your loved ones. Keith Roberts said, untangling the lights is always fun. Yeah, it is, Keith. Yeah, I must admit, well, I try and keep the boxes they come in, and then hopefully it's not so bad. But yeah, there's always a bit of untangling to do, let's be honest. It's all part of the fun of Christmas, isn't it? Nikki's joined again. Hey Nikki, nice to see you again. Hi Joel, looking very festive. Well, the tree is and the bay window is. I'm not so much. Fairly plain clothing. But yes, yeah, we've got quite a nice display this year. We've got 2 bay windows on the house, so 2 Christmas trees, obviously a must. And yeah, they've come up trumps, I must admit. HRABN has said happy holidays and a blessed new year. Thank you very much. Same to you too. Louise said it's nice to be here. It's nice to have you here, Louise. Nice to have all of you here. HRABN said hi from the Netherlands. Well, hello Netherlands. Funnily enough, speaking of the Netherlands, I've just today been watching a bit of an episode of Itchy Boots. Actually, I've been catching up with some of her stuff. If you haven't seen on YouTube, fantastic channel, strongly recommend it. Norley, this incredibly talented woman who travels all around the world on a motorbike and films it all herself, edits it all herself, and she's recently reached 3 million subscribers. Absolutely amazing, and yeah, it's really fantastic channel. So do check out Itchy Boots if you can. It's a great way to see parts of the world through the eyes of someone else. It really is a fantastic channel, so I'd strongly recommend going and giving that a watch if you can. So that's my Netherlands reference at the moment. Erin said, love your work, Joel. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you, Erin. Thank you for joining us. It's wonderful to see you all here, as I've already said. And Chinmay says, remember me, you gave me a prize for photography competition of Big Butterfly Month. Yes, that's right, Chinmay, I do remember. Your work is amazing, working for nature. The thing is, nature doesn't need us, we need nature. It's very true, very true. Yeah, and then Erin said, well said, Chinmay, and I couldn't agree more. Well, yeah, we absolutely do need nature. Nature it's all around of us. It is us in essence. You know, we're part of it. And I'm not going to make this a doom and gloom episode, so I'm going to keep it nice and cheerful, I promise you. But yeah, we absolutely do need nature, and yeah, China, for example, now. No, I wasn't going to give it. All right, I'll go down there for a second. China, for example, now they are a lot of the time hand pollinating some of their fruit trees because there just simply aren't as many bees as there used to be. So yes, we absolutely need nature. If the insects go, we're going with them. Let me tell you that for free. So yes, we absolutely need to protect what we've got. That's for sure. Isaac the Red said, evening, Joel. How are you? I'm very good, Isaac. Thank you very much. Yes, not too bad. What have I been doing today? Well, not a great deal, I must admit. I've been spending some time with the kids, which is always nice, and just kind of winding down for Christmas. Really, I had my last day at work, obviously yesterday, so I was just kind of grateful this morning to wake up and think, right, I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to drive hundreds of miles. I can just kind of wake up, chill out, spend some time with family and the dogs. And yeah, it's been great. It's been a really beautiful. It's been cold, but a really beautiful sunny day here in Lincolnshire. I don't know how it's been forever. You are, Isaac. But yeah, it's been really nice here. So I've been just out with the dogs a bit and. Yes, chilling out. Had a nice flyover earlier, actually. I was in the garden and I had about 27, 28 field fares flying over, which are one of our Scandinavian visitors that we get every year here in the UK. They are a thrush species and they're kind of a bit bigger than a blackbird. And they've got this very iconic call, which is like a sort of a cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha. And yeah, it's less machine gun sounding, but yeah, a really nice bird. And they do come and they gorge themselves on our berries, our hedgerows here in the UK, which at the moment are obviously still laden with a lot of fruit, hawthorns, sloes, rose hips. There's tons of food for them here still at the moment. So yeah, not just in my garden, but around obviously the whole of the UK. Yeah, so I had a nice flyover of those earlier, along with the duck. That's nice to see. I just heard a single whack. There was a duck went straight over a mallard, which is very nice. I've had a kestrel through the garden today, which was lovely. Sparrowhawk through the garden yesterday, which was really nice to see again. Just as is always the way with sparrowhawks, or most of the time, there was just like a flash of grey. And it was a male sparrowhawk that went past the kitchen window just as I was washing up, actually. So it was nice to see that. So yeah, there's still plenty of life about. Had a couple of weeks ago, there's a woodcock went, I just was out there filming some of the sunset, and then I just stuck around for another 10-15 minutes before my fingers started to freeze. And yeah, I then went to the bottom of the garden just to have a look over the fields to see if there were any kind of last birds moving around in the twilight. And a fabulous woodcock just flew over today. Sorry, not today. Flew over when I was down the bottom of the garden, and yeah, woodcock's another really lovely bird. And it's the second woodcock I've seen here actually. Funnily enough, it was yeah, a really nice sight to see. So woodcocks, this iconic bird, really long sort of beak, really sort of squat, sort of round, sort of plump body, game bird. Obviously here in the UK, unfortunately, they are shot a reasonable amount, but yeah, really nice to see that kind of go over the hedge and straight off over the field behind the house, which was lovely. So RXM M1V said, "Hi Joel, really need advice on how to kill a load of weeds that have taken over bare ground and also front lawn. I don't want to use weed killer. Not sure if homemade works. Too many to pull up." Yes, well, I'm sure you know my view on weeds. Obviously, I don't think there is such a thing, but I appreciate if you're trying to create herbaceous border, for example, then dealing with the kind of the germination of flowers that, shall we say, are less desirable can be a bit of an issue sometimes. Quite often the way to do it is to just keep it, depending on the time frame, is just to keep turning over the soil. So if you can, sort of dig it over, let them come up a bit, dig it over and pull them out. And obviously just a lot of the time it'll just be the disturbed ground will have obviously a seed bed within it. And as soon as you turn that ground over, a lot of those seeds will then germinate. But if you keep doing that, then obviously in time there becomes less and less of a seed bed because things have simply germinated already. So hopefully, if you can sort of keep turning it over and pulling it out, I know it's a bit labor intensive. You can get these sort of like three-pronged sort of forks from some garden centres as well, which are quite good, and you can just rake through, and as long as it sort of pulls the plant out and leaves the roots drying out, basically any plant with its roots exposed at this time of year is not going to last very long, even though it's fairly damp. A lot of the time, just the cold and the frost will just kill the plant. So yeah, as long as you can disturb it so that there's a few of the roots or most of the roots on display, then that should you can go back and pick them up, a couple of days later. So hope that helps. Obviously, yeah, don't advocate using weed killer at all. In fact, yeah, I've been trying to push for weed killers to be stopped. It's a bit of a campaign I want to carry on into the new year, to try and campaign for more weed killers to be stopped, or to stop being sold to the general public for various reasons, which I won't go into tonight. But yeah, makes a lot of sense to stop selling weed killers, that's for sure. HRAB entered, "I am ill right now, but thinking of starting a wild your garden kind of business when recovered." Good for you. Yes. The world needs more people who are offering the services that I do, and in general trying to encourage more people. So absolutely go for it. It's the best thing I ever did, that's for sure. Louise said, "Is Luna going to join us today?" Possibly, Louise. I might take a request. I might go and grab her in a little bit near the end, if one or two of you want to see any of the dogs. HRAB entered, "I have seen them nesting in Poland as well." I'm assuming you mean the field fairs, which is great. Yeah, fantastic. Isaac said, "Joel, if you had to pick one tree, one shrub, and one wildflower for a garden, what would you pick?" Wow, there's a $1 million question, or a $3 million question. Well, if I had to pick a tree for a garden, assuming the garden isn't huge, assuming it's kind of an average garden that most of us have, I'd probably pick a rowan. The mountain ash, Sorbus or Cuparia, because it's such a good tree all round. It really is. So you've got a great flower in the springtime, sort of May time. They have this kind of really nice big white flower that's really loved by a lot of insects, a lot of bees, hoverflies, that sort of thing. And then of course, as those flowers develop into berries, you've got this fantastic source of berries in the autumn months for blackbirds. A lot of thrush species like the fieldfare, the redwing as well, waxwings if you're lucky, song thrush as well. There's so many birds that will eat the berries, and of course, for any sort of mammal species when they drop things like wood mice, field voles, that sort of thing. They will eat the berries as well. And in the autumn time, it's also a great tree in terms of the colour, because the leaves go from this lovely green, obviously, through to sort of yellows and orange, and sometimes almost like a reddish colour. I think it's just a great all-round tree, the rowan, and it doesn't get too big. It's easily manageable. So yes, probably the rowan would be my tree. Shrub. Well, I mean, it's hard to choose against hawthorn, although technically hawthorn could become a bit of a tree if you wanted it to be. I think for a shrub, I'd have to go for probably alder buckthorn, which is a little bit out the norm, I suppose, but it attracts one of my favourite butterflies, which is the brimstone butterfly, which is this lovely sulphur yellow butterfly that we see in the springtime. And you get to see these great big bright green juicy caterpillars on it if you're lucky enough to live kind of south of the Scottish border, really, where the kind of the most of the population starts in the UK, of the brimstone, right the way down into the southwest and the southeast. It's just a fantastic butterfly, not a true harbinger of spring, because you can get it coming out on warm days in February out of hibernation and think, yes, spring's here, and then the next day it snows. So I do like to plant an alder buckthorn wherever I can. I planted 3 in my last garden, and I had 50, 60 eggs laid on 3 shrubs in the spring, and that turned into 20, 30, maybe even 40 caterpillars. So yes, fantastic. So alder buckthorn for a shrub, and it's a really good one as well for the berries. A lot of birds eat the berries, and in the spring the bees absolutely love it when the flowers come out in sort of May time. So really, really good all-round shrub, and it doesn't have thorns, which is quite often good for when you're looking for caterpillar larvae. So yeah, a really good one. One wildflower, well, that's fairly easy. That would have to be my favourite wildflower, which is bird's foot trefoil, or the old eggs and bacon, as it's known in old money, shall we say. And it's just a great plant. Needs a bit of sun, but it's a low-growing plant. You can plant them in a lawn. They'll grow in a meadow, and they really are so good for wildlife. It's a larval food plant for 3 of the UK butterflies, so for the common blue, the green hair streak, and the dingy skipper. So it's a really, really great plant for those. It's also a larval food plant for the 6-spot bonnet moth as well, and other moth species as well. And it's also just a great plant for bees. Bees absolutely love it. Any kind of trefoil, kind of peas, vetch, they absolutely love the flowers. If you look at clovers, for example, clovers are loved by bees, the white and the red clover we get here in the UK. So yes, that's a slightly lengthy answer to your question, Isaac. Hopefully that's answered it very thoroughly for you. Nikki said, my pyracanthus is all buried up, ready for the field fairs and reverings to arrive. Yeah, great stuff, Nikki. Yeah, yes, they do love the pyracantha as well. Another good one for them. Cotoneaster as well. They will eat those berries. So that's another one you can have. Let's have a look. I'll scroll down too far now. Here we go. James Wilkins said, hi Joel, first stumbled across your channel earlier in the year while searching for some good wildlife friendly hedging inspiration and advice, and your channel has been great help. Well, great to hear that, James. Obviously there's a whole catalogue of videos. There's over 500 videos on the channel now. I'm not saying you should go and watch every one of them. In fact, it's quite cringeworthy when I look back at some of the old ones. I perhaps should delete them, but it's a journey. It's nice to remember the humble beginnings where this channel started nearly 6 years ago, or 6 years it will be in April since the channel started. So glad you found the channel, James, so thank you. And yeah, hopefully there'll be many more videos to inspire you over the coming months and years, fingers crossed. RXM said it's kind of a monoculture of them. Thank you. Oh, good. Yeah, no worries at all. HRABN said, what do you use as reference for selections of plant species to sow? Well, to be honest, it sounds really, really, really egotistical, but my own book a lot of the time. So for those of you that don't know, I wrote a book called Wild Your Garden, which was why this channel was started, actually, after the name of the book. And that I wrote back in 2020, that came out. And in it, there's a really handy section in the back, actually, where it lists all the kind of native UK trees and shrubs that I would recommend or that can be used. Wildflowers for damp areas, wildflowers for, I don't know, sandy soils, wildflowers for clay soils, wildflowers for shade, semi-shade, pond plants. So it's sometimes a really good reference that I use quite a lot, actually, when I'm designing planting schemes for gardens and things, because you can get a bit of, I don't know, kind of tunnel vision almost sometimes. I'm sure many of you that might be garden designers out there probably get that, and sometimes you have to just kind of look a bit wider for inspiration. So and there's plants that you sometimes forget. What was I doing the other day? I was looking at I was thinking of a mixed hedgerow for that I was pricing up for a client, and all of a sudden it just came into my head about wayfaring trees, the Viburnum lantana again, and I just thought, oh, I'd sort of forgotten about that, and it's kind of nice to have those references. So yes, the Wild Your Garden book is quite a good reference. Jokes to one side, if you're looking for a good reference book, I certainly use it a fair bit. I said, oh yeah, it's a new build garden. Oh, cool. Yeah, no worries. Too mild, no frost here, but I will, of course, take your advice. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. That's why I'm here. That's how I do these lives. It's great to offer the advice and see these sorts of questions. It tests me as well, because I'm by no means an expert. I've never claimed to be. I like to think that I know a fair bit after gardening for wildlife for the last 20 years, but obviously I don't know everything. I'm still learning. We're always still learning, and yeah, it's great to be tested like this. So Mike Fletcher said, hi, soon be time for frogs being on the move. Last spring saw so much spawn, entire tracks die from drying out. Yes, a real shame. Really confuses. You should not move spawn as what to do, intervene or not. It's a very good question, Mike. It's one that I get asked nearly every year as soon as we get into February, March time, of course, when frogs are spawning. Yeah, and I all the guidance, if you go on Frog Life's website or anything like that, all the guidance will say don't move live frog spawn, because you've got the risk of moving disease and all that sort of thing. So I'm not telling you to. All I'm saying is that I have rescued a fair few clumps of frog spawn myself, whether that's frowned upon or not, because I just think it's an absolute waste. These animals go through enough as it is, with agricultural pressures, with human pressures in general, with the risk of predation, to become pregnant, to give birth to all this spawn, and the effort that must be involved in producing hundreds of eggs sometimes. It must be phenomenal for these frogs, the stress that their bodies must go through, to then look at a piece of spawn and think, oh, it's just in a bit of wet grass. All those tadpoles are going to die. And I simply cannot stand back and look at that and think, oh, I'll just let the crows or the rooks or the magpies or the blackbirds eat that and have it as a food source. Obviously, sometimes you can't save everything, but where I can, I do pick up bits of spawn from the wild, because I can't bear the thought of all those tadpoles just simply having a life of, well, it's not very long, let's be quite honest. So yeah, I'm not telling you what to do, Mike, but there's what I tend to do, if that gives you a hint. Andy Swainston said, hi, Joel, have you seen Wild Kingdom's Map of Dreams? I had a chat with one of the trustees today. It's about giving a voice to all of us, whether it's just a bird box or an estate. No, I'm not familiar with that, Andy. Do drop me a message on that. It'd be interesting to see that. And then Keith said, my rowan is doing well, thank you. All the berries have been eaten already. Yes, this is, this time of year. quite often you find a lot of trees and shrubs are already stripped of berries because the blackbirds have been in, and quite often they'll come in at dawn and dusk to eat those berries. So you don't really see much action, and you think, well, where have all my berries gone? Wood pigeons as well will eat a lot of berries from these trees. So yeah, this time of year, I mean, it's a good thing, you know, if you've got that much or that many berries, it's really good, Keith. So great, good on you. Louise said, what about one bulb? I'm guessing you mean a wildflower, not a light bulb, Louise. I can't say I have a favourite light bulb. But sorry, it's slightly facetious of me. One bulb, well, I can't get away from, well, if I had to pick three, I'd probably choose wild garlic, bluebells, and snake's head fritillaries. But if I had to choose one, which you're asking me to, I'd probably choose snake's head fritillary, just because it reminds me of my grand's garden, if nothing else. And seeing snake's head fritillary, my gran was a keen gardener. Sadly, she passed away, well, must be 10 years ago now. I think it is actually, maybe nearly 11 years. I remember being, as a child, running around their garden. Of course, when you're a kid, gardens seem massive, don't they? Everything's bigger. And yeah, I just remember seeing this patch of snake's head fritillaries pop up in this kind of semi-shaded bit down the bottom of the garden, and thinking, what a plant, look at that, you know. And then got these sort of like pedunculate bells. If you're not familiar with snake's head fritillaries, they're this beautiful kind of maroon colour with like this really sort of small intricate checkerboard with offset colours, like maroon, one slightly darker, one slightly paler. Just like a chessboard, for example, but just variations of red. And they are absolutely just exquisite. And when they do start to come out, if you catch them early enough, so sometimes end of March in the south of England, but usually kind of first week in April or so, and you start to see the kind of the heads of these flowers emerge from the stems. That's where they get their name. They do look a bit like a snake's head, because the flower head itself is like a sort of a green and a white checkered board before it then turns into that maroon colour. So it's absolutely fabulous, and it's kind of got like the shape of a grass snake's head, if you like. So I just love them, and the bees obviously really, really love them, and they're just such a fantastic plant there. And they're not one that I see all the time. You know, it's quite a rarity to see them, I think, in the wild. I've certainly not seen a huge amount in the wild, certainly not in East Anglia, where it's mostly agricultural land anyway. So it's a real treat to see them if you do see them in the wild, and I just love them. They're a great plant. So yes, that's what I'd probably pick, Louise. JMCK6320. We have been making a woodland on our 5 acres in County Down, Ireland. Ah, fantastic. Hello, Ireland. We use the woodland truss for the trees, about 3,000, and still planting more. Some difference from bare fields in the past 7 years. Yeah, hats off to you. That's amazing. Wow. I mean, if you ever do want to drop me a line, it'd be great to see some pictures of what you've done. I know from planting trees for the last 2 decades how much they can grow in that amount of time. And yeah, that's quite some number, 3,000. And 7 years, you get into that kind of sweet spot where hedging, or if you put them in as small whips, which no doubt if they're kind of part funded from the Woodland Trust, then that would be, a really small whip, probably to 16, 18 inches, 40 to 45 centimetres. And yeah, it can seem like a while for them to establish. But once they do establish, when you get to that sort of 7-year period, they're starting to mature into decent sized shrubs and trees, depending on what the species are that you've planted. And it just gets better from there on in. So yeah, enjoy. That's a wonderful thing to have done, and no doubt you'll be very pleased with the fruits of your labour now looking back. Keith said, I've planted an older buckthorn in a pot. This will be its 2nd year. Brilliant, Keith. Yeah, get it nice and big and bushy. Yeah, hopefully the brimstones will visit you in no time at all. Elias DK9559 said, hi from Denmark. Hello, Denmark. Great. I just love seeing all these different countries. I just love seeing everyone from different countries around the world joining. It really is so wonderful to know that there's so many of you interested in this. and it's not just me being an eccentric weirdo. Hi from Denmark, Joel. Finally got time to join today. Just planted some older buckthorn last spring. No eggs yet though. Ah, fantastic. Yeah, good stuff. That's music to my ears. Yeah, usually the first brimstones will start. The males will hatch a bit before the females, so they'll be kind of uh, probably early April, and then the females will come out a couple of weeks later, and they'll start laying sort of the last half of April and into kind of the end of April and into the first week in May. And the first 2 weeks in May is when you'll really get a flurry of females, hopefully, and the females are slightly creamier than the males. I'm sure you already know this, but the females have got a lovely sort of it's like an off-white. Sometimes you can mistake them for what a lot of people would class as cabbage whites, which are of course the small, the green veined and the large white butterflies, but they have got this lovely sort of creamy colour to them, and obviously if it's hovering around your older buckthorn, you know it's 100% a female. So keep an eye out, and the eggs are always on the underside of the leaf, but you've got to be careful when you sort of grab the leaf, because the last thing you want to do is obviously squash the eggs, which sometimes are right on the edge of the leaf. So I've in the past found myself lying on my back looking up at the underside of these shrubs. Look at these, there's never many people about, because you can only imagine what people will be thinking if they saw someone lying on their back looking up. There's a really funny video I saw, or it was just like a meme or something actually years ago, and it was all about Lepidopteris, obviously those that study butterflies and moths, and yeah, there's some great stuff on the internet about taking the mickey out of Lepidopteris. So yeah, do go and have a look at some of that. I digress, but it's quite refreshing. So yes, get on your back, Elias, and have a look under those leaves in the summertime. I'm sure you won't be disappointed. JMCK said would like to plant Killarney strawberry tree, but would it survive at 600 meters altitude on clay/stone? Will it survive, do you think? I'd be lying if I said to you I'd know either way. I'm afraid you have to Google that one, but I'm sure that you'll very quickly, with whether you like it or not, the modern AI now with Google search and everything else, you'll get an answer very quickly. So I would do that, I would say, my friend. Napa94, hi Joel, what would you recommend as the first step for someone to career change into ecology biodiversity? I have an RHS qualification in horticulture, but not exactly related. Yeah, very good question. Somebody asked me this on the last live, and yeah, it's very difficult. You know, the conservation, not only does there seem to be less and less funding for a lot of conservation projects, it's very difficult to find a conservation job that is full-time. A lot of it is either part-time, it's either survey work, and yeah, without being ecologists, I know people as well who have a love of wildlife, and they've gone into ecology. They've got a degree in ecology, very knowledgeable people. They've gone into into doing sort of ecological survey work, which is kind of the normal route, if you like, for people with those kind of qualifications coming out of university, and they've just got so disoriented with the whole process, and what they're actually doing a lot of the time is surveying for bats, badgers, and some protected species, just to therefore then give the green light to a new housing estate, which is obviously kind of demoralizing, really. If your love is wildlife and effectively you're helping these house builders put another 300, 400, 500 houses in a field, then yeah, I could imagine that could be quite tough mentally for you. So it is difficult, and I started up obviously as a landscaper in the beginning. I'm sure I'll do a full 20-part series at some point about how I got started and how I got to be doing what I now do, which is of course creating habitats for wildlife all over the UK and indeed different parts of the world. So I'm sure I'll fill you in on that at some point. But it is difficult, and without starting your own business, unless you know somebody with a wildlife gardening business, or you can approach a bigger conservation charity, for example, places like Frog Life, or the RSPB, who may have some jobs going. It's difficult to get into this line of work, and even then, a lot of it is either in kind of more social media side of things and all the rest of it. So it's not necessarily the hands-on that you might be looking for. So without being the harbinger of doom, it's not easy. And I have a lot of people ask me this, and I am looking to do, as we get into next year, I am looking to do or to start producing some wildlife gardening courses for those of you that are interested or might be interested in pursuing a career in this side of things. Just to see if I can encourage more people and give people the ability to go out and create more habitats for themselves in their own gardens or as a profession. So yeah, stay tuned on that one. So yes, hopefully that helps answer that question. Isaac said, another question, Joel, not including a wildflower meadow or a pond, what would you say is the next most valuable habitat that you can create in a garden? Well, in a garden, I mean, it's quite easy, unless I'm not saying go out and nick a load of rotten logs from your local woodland, but just creating log stacks and log piles, the amount of invertebrates that will then come, that will in turn encourage other species to come and hunt through for those invertebrates, things like wrens, dunnocks, or the hedge sparrow, some people know it as, and smaller birds like that, long-tailed tits. They'll often hunt for spiders, and small invertebrates, and just that then attracts maybe the odd wood mouse, and it just kind of goes up from there. So I think log piles are really great. Standing deadwood is really good as well. So just deadwood in a garden, we are too tidy as a species. We really are. We tidy up so much stuff that should just be left to decay. And it's quite encouraging to see when I'm driving around the country sometimes. Some parks are now starting to leave. I know, for example, down in Clapham Common, or on Clapham Common, where I was creating a quarter-acre wetland this time last year, in the middle of London, they are now starting to leave large trunks of trees where they do fall and letting them just decay naturally. And I think that's a really good thing. We could start with doing that across all our parks. Having bits that are big enough so that people can't just pick them up and take them home and chop them up for firewood. But just having that habitat is really a big thing. So hopefully, Isaac, that helps you with that one. And it doesn't cost a lot. If you've got some wood lying around, you don't have to fork out loads. Andy said it's a brilliant book. Oh, thanks, Andy. I'm guessing you mean Wild Garden. Very much appreciate that. Calvin Jones said, I've just dropped in. Sorry if you've covered this, but whatever happened with your neighbour who poisoned your garden? Yes, well, long story short, I'll be doing a video for you over the Christmas period. I've got a couple of weeks off now where I can start filming a few more videos for the start of next year. And yes, long story short, we're still trying to go through the legal system. All these months later, I had to fight for the case to be reopened because the police initially closed the case saying there was a lack of evidence. I mean, weigh that one up. I'd filmed every single tree, shrub, wildflower. Obviously, you can imagine this was a very well documented front garden. And for those of you that don't know, I created a 20 square metre wildlife garden at my old house where I moved from at the end of March this year to where I am now. And unfortunately, after I moved, the lady next door poisoned the entire length of the boundary, which was just criminal. There's a wildlife pond in there. All my trees and shrubs died. My wildflowers died. This is a garden that was 2 years old. That was, as you can imagine, very well maintained, very well managed, and an absolute haven for wildlife. So just go back on the channel if you want to see any of that content. There's the poison garden, unfortunately, as the video is titled. So yes, go and have a look at that. But in essence, I'm still trying to fight with the police to keep them to proceed to criminal damage. Because I need to set a precedent with this because it happens so much, and there's over 10,000 comments on that video now of people saying similar things. This happened to me, or what should I do? I've got a similar situation. So I'm really trying to kind of stay focused on that and try and get some good results for you, so I can highlight the process, because there's really a big problem with neighbour disputes all around the world, obviously. And so that's where I am with that one. It's still ongoing, and I will do a proper update video for you soon, Calvin. So thank you for the comment. Filmmaker Crossley, my good friend David. Thank you for joining us, David. Wishing you a very happy Christmas, Joel. Just to say, our first snowdrops are opening. Crikey, David, I thought you were in the north of the country. I thought they'd be later than that. And for those of you that don't know, please do follow filmmaker Cross this channel. My good friend David Crossley, he's got a wildlife garden that is far superior to so many that I've seen, that he's been maintaining for the last 40 years, no less. And I've done a video of it on the channel and interviewed him. Yeah, fantastic films David makes about his garden, and yeah, some of the excursions she does around the UK. So go check out David's channel and give him a follow if you can. Fracani said, can't say long, but wanted to say thank you for inspiring myself and others to care for our local ecosystems. Wishing you well from Oregon, USA. Thank you so much, Oregon, USA. Wow, that's what I mean, the wonders of the internet. Here we go, live, 21st century, talking to all of you from around the world. So no, thank you. Messages like that mean a lot to me. They keep me going through these colder times when, yes, it can be a bit demoralising when you're outside this time of year looking around thinking, oh, there's no life. It's all there. It's all waiting to come up in the spring. But it also gives me, obviously, the encouragement to keep doing these videos, these lives, and making this content to inspire more people. That was the reason I started this channel 6 years ago. So, yeah, thank you very much for dropping in. Hopefully you're still here to hear me say that. Crafty Kobold said, hi Joel, Paul Ashby from Norfolk here. Hey Paul, nice to see you. Thank you for joining me. Great talking to you the other day, and I look forward to your visit next year. I have committed to retiring in the new year, so I will have a busy year outside. Yeah, good on you, Paul. Yeah, so Paul's got a really cracking project going. I can't wait to see him in the new year. He's, yeah, well, I won't even go there. There's too much to mention, but great stuff, Paul. No doubt coming to a YouTube channel soon. Mike Fletcher said fritillary. I'm guessing that's to, yes, my snake said fritillary. Keith said, I had a virus run through my frog population a couple of years ago, and it was heartbreaking to see so many dead frogs. Yeah, it is, Keith. There is a virus running through frogs, which yeah, has made a big impact on their totals. I hadn't moved frog spawn. Glad to say they seem to have bounced back. Yeah, they will. Fingers crossed. Yeah, no, it's a tricky one, like I say, with the frogs. There's plenty of disease about that's affecting them. GM said, opinions on trail hunting. I personally have no problem with it. Well, yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I don't do any kind of hunting. I don't kill anything deliberately. So I appreciate it's stony ground. A lot of people make a living from it. A lot of people do it for fun, for sport. Personally, that's not me. So each to his own. I'm just going to say that and move on, to be honest. David Cobb. Hi, David. Nice to see you. David Cobb. Haven't heard from you for a little while. So for those of you that don't know, I did a little wildlife garden for David. Back in, when was it, David? 2021, I think. He's in East London. Don't worry, David, I won't give out your address. Cracking little garden, made him a little wildlife pond, put a native hedge in, planted some herbaceous borders, and yeah, it was a really fantastic garden, and I'd love to get back. I did go back and do a bit of a follow-up video. So yes, do go and check that out on the channel. But nice to see you, David. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're all well. Mike said, don't forget the crocus, very early and good for bumblebees. Yes, a very good one, Mike. Crocus bulbs, obviously, they are an early flowering bulb as well, so really good. Really good for the bees, as you say. RXM said, I want to create a low maintenance, small to medium hedge height for front garden. Not sure which species is best. Highly windy, exposed site on the coast. Very sunny spot outside winter months. Thanks. Well, a really good one for that would be sea buckthorn. Fantastic hedge, and just get a block of that in if you can. It's fairly easy to maintain. It's not ridiculously quick growing. Has a thorny spike on it, so it's great for nesting birds as well. So it'll give them some cover. Has a flower in the spring, has the berry in the autumn as well. So yeah, and the coastal site, obviously it's perfect for it. So sea buckthorn, that'll be your ally there, is what I would say to that one. Andy Swainston said, I have a dilemma. I have set aside 1,250 square metres of ryegrassland. I want to turn it into a wildflower grass meadow, but it's only grass. But now it's full of voles and field mice. How would you manage? Well, Andy, I'd probably say do it in sections. So instead of wiping out all the habitat or stripping off, I don't know if you're stripping off and sowing again, But I would say to, if you can, just to start in sections. So, maybe do a quarter, maybe leave a quarter of it kind of unmown, just as kind of longer grass all year, because then that's providing a habitat. Because obviously on warmer days, the voles and the mice may come out to provide then a food source for kestrels, for at night time for barn owls, tawny owls, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'd definitely just do it in sections if you can, Andy, and then that way you can leave some habitat all year round and just do kind of one section a year, and like I say, leave maybe a quarter of it indefinitely. Keith said it's funny when you're out looking for butterflies and you encounter someone else and there's this pause about what you're doing, they turn out to be looking for butterflies too. Yeah, I have had that a few times, Keith, when I've been out, on the rare occasion that I can get out when I'm not busy making habitats, of course, and I've got the time to go and explore a little bit of woodland nearby, or a local wildflower meadow, and you sort of you know a lepidopterist when you see them, and you think, yeah, I can have a conversation with this person without them thinking I'm a complete weirdo. So yeah, I can completely relate to that, Keith. HRABN said in the Netherlands we can't find enough good people for nature preservation jobs. Yeah, they're few and far between here as well. I mean, I obviously do this for a living full time, but the amount of people that say they couldn't find anybody else that does what I do, certainly not traveling nationally anyway, and it is difficult. I think more and more people are looking to go down this route, yeah. But I am thinking maybe I just need to take this whole show worldwide. So if you've got some jobs for me in the Netherlands, give me a shout. I've always wanted to visit. So yeah, maybe I can come and do a few gardens over there. We can do, going back to the itchy boots, maybe we could do like a bit of a world tour. I could go to the States for a few months, make a few ponds over there, go to the Netherlands. You get the feel. That would be amazing. One Ram 66 said, "Hi Joel, love the work you do in central Brittany." Wow, fantastic. I'm a bit of a francophile myself, for those of you that don't know. Currently trying to attract marsh fritillaries by adding Devil's Bit scabious, gone completely native on our 3-acre plot with trees and hedges. Well, there's no need to be like that. I mean, just because I'm never going to get marsh fritillaries in my garden. No, hats off to you. That's commendable work. And I've actually got to go and see somebody in Devon who's looking to increase the populations of marsh fritillaries in and around their plot. So well done to you. Of course, Devil's Bit scabious, the larval food plant for the marsh fritillary, which is just wonderful, a fabulous little butterfly. It's almost like a stained glass window. It's kind of this mix of sort of orange and yellow and black with a little bit of white, and it's just a really beautiful little butterfly, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, hats off to you. Send me some pictures. I'm not envious of your 3 acres in France at all. So yeah, drop me an email. If any of you want to drop me an email, by the way, enquiries@wildyourgarden.com, enquiries@wildyourgarden.com, or just go on the wildyourgarden.com online shop and go to the contact page. It's always good to see what you've been up to and the sort of habitats that you're creating. RXM said, "Gardening course sounds amazing." Yeah, well, I'll get on that. I'll add it to my to-do list in the new year. Two-Tone Navy. Oh, nice to see you on here, John. Thank you very much for joining us. It's great to see you, my friend. My stepdaughter just had her last day of her internship with the Audubon Society. Wow, what a fantastic internship that would have been. I'd have killed for that when I was that age, no doubt. Restoring wildlife habitat and removing invasive species. Yeah, brilliant. Well, hopefully that's the start of a long career in conservation. So this is the kind of thing that I was talking about a few minutes ago. There are jobs out there. It's just finding them, which is often very difficult. But with obviously the invention of social media, it's a little bit easier these days. So I'd always recommend tuning into your favorite kind of social media avenues, whether that's Instagram or YouTube or wherever it is, and subscribing to conservation charities and societies that may then be posting videos about any opportunities they've got going. It's probably as good a way as any of keeping your sort of ear to the ground on that side of things. Crafty Cobalt said, "My daughter would be interested in a gardening course." Fantastic. Yeah, well, that's 2 of you. So I'll keep I'll keep going on that route in the new year. Beep to beep 572. Some of the names on here are fantastic. How do we design wildlife gardens that are so easy, cheap, and socially acceptable that ordinary people actually copy them? Well, I mean, if I told you that, I'd have to kill you, I'm afraid. That's trade secrets. Um, no, it's a very good question, and yeah, it's one that I'm obviously tasked with a lot of the time when I go and see clients. It's a case of creating something that's good for wildlife, that's within budget, and that looks great as well, and then having it so it's manageable and maintainable for whoever is the lucky owner at the end of the day. So. No quick answer to that question, I'm afraid. I think it's a case of, yeah, getting a bit of an eclectic mix and doing what works for you, because different habitats require different levels of maintenance, different levels of input, if you like. And but something like a wildlife pond or like a barrel pond is obviously a very good option, because you can put it on a barrel, put it on a patio, put a few plants in it, and have a few natives in there, and that can attract a lot of wildlife. And it's easy. Then if you move house, you can just empty the contents, keep a bucket of all the sludge and the insects and the vertebrates that are at the bottom of it, take that with you and set it up in your new place. So maybe a barrel pond is a great start. Archie Diggins, hi Joel, sorry I missed all these lives. Don't be silly, Archie. Well, I don't expect everybody to see them, and I've not advertised them probably as well as I should have done. But yeah, there will be more coming into the new year, and I'm going to try the kind of the more landscape format as well, which I know a few of you watch these on your TV, so landscape will probably be more preferable than the sort of vertical portrait mode that we're in at the moment. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll try and do some more for you. Beat to Beats, also thanks for everything you do, Joel. Built a 2 to 3 meter wildlife pond thanks to you, exactly as your videos. That's what I like to hear. People making videos, people making habitats because of these videos, which is absolutely wonderful. So thank you very much. I'm sure the wildlife will repay you tenfold for your efforts. It always does. And then Archie said, I've got new full-time job, so we'll definitely get the bigger pond started this year. We'll send the dimensions in the new year. Sadly, I won't be able to put any plants in at first due to red deer. No worries, Archie. Yeah, give me a line. And for any of you that are looking to create any habitats in the new year and you're in the UK, obviously we've got the online shop, and I do offer free tailored advice on there for anyone using the shop to buy your wildflowers, pond plants, pond liner, boulders, anything like that, bulbs, you name it, bird seed, bird food, bird boxes, anything like that. Then drop us a line. I'm happy to help. But yeah, great stuff, Archie. Do keep in touch. And RXM said, oh, thanks so much for that, Joel. No worries, you're very welcome. So HRABN said, in coastal areas in the Netherlands, hawthorn is a good species for a hedge as well. Ah, brilliant. Yeah, well, there you go. I know I have seen hawthorns in fairly kind of windswept coastal situations. So yeah, probably not a bad one. Andy, cheers, Joel. No worries, Andy. Yeah, and then draw YRRAL said minus 20 degrees here in the middle of Canada. Wow, that's cold. I mean, I thought it was cold here when it was about 4 degrees the other day. So yeah, hats off to you. Spring shows up at the end of April. Your videos keep me going over my brutal winters. Well, then I've just got to keep making more, haven't I? You see, that's the reason. It's reasons like this that keep me going, keep me inspired through the winter months, because I think it's always colder than where I am somewhere in the world. So, but thank you for joining me from Canada. Really, really nice to see you. So, yes, well done for enduring. I'm sure the summers are spectacular, and I'm sure the wildlife when it isn't minus 20 is incredible, but also you'll get some incredible owl species, you'll get some incredible bird life over there as well. So yeah, I'd love to go to Canada at some point. Never been, but would love to go. Elias said, do you have further plans for the Georgian garden, perhaps a pond in the near future? Well, I'm glad you said that, Elias, because in the last 5 to 10 minutes of this live, I would just like to speak for a few minutes about my plans for the Georgian Wildlife Garden over the coming months and what you can expect from the channel in general. Now, I have been doing a few videos and I have got a playlist, the Georgian Wildlife Garden. If you're completely new to the channel, if you've just seen me for the first time today, go on the home page, go to the Georgian Wildlife Garden playlist, and you can see back to the very start a few months ago, back in April, when I started making these videos and explaining how I was going to be turning this garden, which is just over an acre, into a whole host of habitats for wildlife. And I have been busy over the last few months. I know I've not put as many videos out as I'd like to have done because I've been so busy with the landscaping, but so for example, so far I have put in some herbaceous borders, which I have done a video of, and you can find that on the channel. I am in the middle of making a wildlife pond. I couldn't wait. It was one of the first things I had to do, as you can imagine. So I've got a really cool wildlife pond, which I'm halfway through digging, and I will get some more done hopefully into January, which is going to be a really cool shape. I've gone for this really interesting kind of clover leaf shape. Yeah, it's going to have some stepping stones across the middle of it. It's going to have a bog area to one side. It's going to have a little oak deck next to it for sitting on and hopefully watching all the swallows coming down and taking a drink on the wing in the summertime. There's a lot of swallows where I am here. I'm in quite a rural setting, and we're on the edge of a lot of fields. So yeah, at times in the summer there were up to sort of 30 or 40 swallows flying around when they're all gathering before they left, obviously, to go back to Africa for winter. So yeah, I'm really hoping the wildlife pond will give them somewhere to come and get a drink on the wing. So I hope to bring you images like that next year. I'm also going to be building an oak pergola over the deck, so there's a little bit of shelter in the sun, and growing some climbers up that as well. I've also stripped off most of my front lawn already, and I've started to make some really cool banks and some fun undulations around the edges of what is effectively the front garden. So I'm really looking forward to carrying on with getting those areas sown with wildflowers in the spring if I can, which will be great. I've also got a dry sown wall to put in along one of the edges of these banks, with a view to attracting a butterfly that I got in my last garden, which is the wall brown butterfly, which is, it's not got the most inspiring of names, but it's a fabulous butterfly, and one that's declined massively. And I mean, I think it's something around about 90% in the last 50 years or so here in the UK. I mean, it really has dropped off the face of the earth. This was a once very widespread species. It's now kind of going coastal. Luckily, where we are, we're only about 8 or 9 miles from the coast itself, the east coast of England. So I'm really hoping to put in a dry stone wall, because they love, as the name would suggest, the wall brown. They love basking on the wall, which is a favourite of theirs, a favourite thing to do, which is where they were in my last garden when I was in the southeast in Essex. And they would bask on the insect hotel and the logs just to get some warmth. So it was really good. I had 2 to 3 of those in the garden at one time, which was just unbelievable. You know, a red-listed butterfly, and I attracted, like I say, them. I'm confident they were breeding in the garden, and this is 20 square metres of front garden in an urban setting in Essex. So I was thrilled to bits with that. Very sorry to have to leave that habitat behind, but it is being well maintained. So I'm going to put in a dry stone wall for those, as well as hopefully the common lizards that I expect to turn up in time. I've got compost heaps to build, compost bays to build. I've got to sort all that out in the spring for when I start cutting grass and some of the pathways through some of the differing habitats that I'll have here in the Georgian Wildlife Garden in the spring. So I want some compost bays in place so I can start adding the grass cuttings to those to hopefully get more and more grass snakes, slow worms, of which I'm yet to see both in this garden. But it was such a blank canvas when we moved in. It was basically just grass pretty much, and some lovely mature trees, which some of you will have already seen. So I'm looking to add lots of these different habitats, more herbaceous borders. I want to create a woodland walk, so I'm going to be putting some rotten logs through as a bit of a stumpery, making the use of these stripped off areas of turf, and making some really fun banks, undulations, and some shady areas. I've got hundreds of bulbs still left to plant. I've been planting a lot of bulbs this autumn because I simply couldn't wait. So I've been planting native daffodils, a lot of alliums. I've been planting Star of Bethlehem. I've been planting tons of stuff. I can't even remember because it was over a month ago, and I've slept since then. But I've got lots more bulbs to plant in the coming weeks. And then what else? I've got I've got a really cool. I'm going to add a predator perch, which is a bit of an odd thing to add, you might think. But in the summertime, we had the pleasure of seeing there were two young buzzards in the garden, which growing up I always used to call Lincolnshire's eagle. They are effectively a bit like an eagle, not quite the same scale, of course, or the same size, but the closest thing we've got to an eagle here in Lincolnshire. And in most of England actually, and there were two young buzzards which were kind of spiraling through the garden, and they'd perch in the spruce trees, and they were just an absolute joy to watch. And I'd really love to get a predator perch going for them. So I've already got lined up a really big log, effectively, which is I think in the region of 14 feet long, something like that. I'm going to bring it into the garden, stick it in the ground by 3 or 4 feet, and then hopefully start feeding some raw meat on top of it, so I can start encouraging the kestrels and the sparrowhawk and the buzzards to come into the garden, on the edge of the garden where it meets the fields, to start preying on that. I think would just be amazing to see, and try and entice them into the garden. We're fortunate here enough as well where we also get 3 species of owl. We get little owl, tawny owl and barn owl all calling throughout the year, which is absolutely fantastic. So because of that, I want to create more habitats for them. So I'm going to be putting up lots of boxes. I've already got the barn owl, tawny owl and the kestrel box. I just need the little owl box. I've also got loads of boxes to put up already. Already here, they're in the garage waiting. Blue-tip robin, starling, house sparrow. I have been putting up some house martin cups in the summer because I had 2 house martins come and inspecting under the gutters, which was just amazing. I was practically cartwheeling around the garden after that. So yeah, they are around. They're about a mile away, so I'm really desperate to try and attract them to the house to nest. Swallows as well, we have lots of in and around the village. There's a lot of pasture here with cows, so it's obviously great for insects, so great for the swallows. So I really want to try and create a bit of an overhang on the barn, which currently has no roof on one half of it. So I'm going to try and create an overhang and some ledges for the swallows to nest on as well. Does that give you a good idea? So I've got a couple of projects lined up. Yes, that and everything else I can think of, all the kind of usual stuff that I do, barrel ponds. Hang on a minute, that sounds like the hounds have been released. So yes, okay, here we have a few dogs that have come to say hello. This is Frank, and yeah, hang on. Marcel has just decided to knock the camera. Hello, Frank. And this is Marcel, who is, well, they're not small dogs, any of them, but some are larger than others. Luna's trying to find something to bring me, and yeah, sorry about that. I heard the scrabbling of paws across the floorboards, and yeah, they then promptly entered the living room. So yes, hopefully that's given you a bit of an idea as to what I'm going to be doing in the Georgian Wildlife Garden over the coming months, which I can't wait to get on with, and it's great to have a little bit of time out. I'm taking a bit of time out in January, A, because the weather's rubbish here in the UK, and B, because I've got so much to do. I need to get on top of it and sort the garage out for one and the barn out, because when we moved it's still full of boxes that I need to make space for some of my tools. Luna, come down now, thank you. So let me just catch up quickly on the comments before I wrap up this live. Are there some animal species you are particularly interested in? What are some endangered ones in the area where you live? Well, butterflies are my big passion, along with birds. I mean, I love everything living, really. But one species I'm really looking to help is the the willow emerald damselfly, which is a species that colonised the UK not that long ago, early 2000s, mid 2000s, I think. It was first spotted in Kent, and it's this beautiful emerald, as you might imagine, it's emerald green damselfly, which has been breeding and travelling further north. And this summer we saw 2 or 3 specimens hanging around the garden, and they lay their eggs on willow trees for the larvae to then drop into a pond. So I'm going to hopefully get my own colony of willow emerald damselflies going, which would be absolutely wonderful. And that's just one of the many species that I want to help, along with the above mentioned birds, things like the barn owl and the little owl in particular, who are really struggling now in the UK, little owls. Frank's gone into kangaroo mode, as you can see. And yeah, Luna's a little bit green-eyed whenever I give Frank any attention, so watch your foot, Frank, otherwise you're going to knock the tripod over. Anyway, right, yes, moving swiftly on. Larry Ward, I've got it. I was thinking draw YRRAL is my name backwards. 5 years ago I had a lawn. Today there are some more than 40 trees and shrubs and a pond, all for wildlife. Well, fantastic. Well done to you, Larry. Like I say, send me some pictures, please. I'd love to see what you've created. Isaac said, another question, Joel. If you had to pick an early flowering tree shrub, what would you pick? The ones I can think of are blackthorn, crabapple, goat willow, or maybe wild or bird cherry. It'd have to be blackthorn, I think, Isaac. First tree or shrub that flowers here in the UK. So many insects use it. Obviously, it does spread from suckers. Or runners, if you like, or suckers, both. Yeah, so you've got to manage it in that way. But a really good tree, prunus in general, the prunus species, damsons and things are just great. Cherries, obviously early flowering. Sorry, I did tell you she was a bit green-eyed. This is Marcel. He's our biggest pup, and he's massive, but lovely. Luna, come on down. Right, I know. It's also dinner time, so I'm going to go feed them in a minute. There's Frank. Yes. Right. Keith Roberts, Canadian Rockies was an amazing trip. Encountered the black bear on the road. It was more interesting in the berries. Lots of other interesting wildlife. Went well watching off the coast of Vancouver. Yeah, fantastic, Keith. Of course, bears omnivorous, so they'll eat pretty much anything. Nikki said, did you take part in the big butterfly count this year? And if so, did you see a drop in numbers? Good numbers of brown species, blues. Others are practically non-existent in the local area. Mixed bag for butterflies this year. I thought in general it was pretty good. I did do a few big butterfly counts when I was able to. But yeah, it was, I thought, a reasonable year for butterflies this year. Good evening from France. Hello, France. I really appreciate your videos. It gives me a lot of idea for my potential future garden. I just joined the live, so I don't know if you already talked about it. Yeah, no, well, it's great to see you. Thank you for joining. I'm sorry I'm about to leave in a minute, but yeah, thank you for joining from France. I will, of course, like I say, be doing more lives coming into the new year. Thanks so much for taking the time to answer our questions and for everything you do for wildlife. You're really inspired, knowing we can ask for advice too if it's new and overwhelming when making a start. Yes, of course it is. You know, whenever you're doing anything in the garden, sometimes it's a bit overwhelming and it's hard to find the exact information, so hopefully I can help you all out there. Keith said I see quite a lot of wall brown here, but would love to get them breeding in the peace gardens among other species. That would be great, Keith. Do you have an update about the situation with your neighbour in the poison garden? Yes, I've already mentioned this in the live, but I will be doing a video just into the new year, so thank you for the comment. Luna Bell, obviously we've got Luna here, but Luna Bell has said hi, nice to see you. Claire just said, just planted 5,000 bulbs and sowed wildflowers, can't wait for spring. Me too, Claire, it'll soon be here once we get good old Christmas out of the way. Lucifer Flump said, happy Christmas, Lucifer, nice to see you. One Ram said, think it's very important to promote bramble, ivy and nettles. These are probably the best plants of wildlife you could have in your garden. They are good, yeah, as long as you manage them, they are great. Now the dogs are deciding to have a fight. Luna, come. Sorry about that, that was Frank knocking the camera off. Right, okay, well, I think I'm going to wrap this up, guys. Yeah, the dogs are getting a little bit hungry, and so am I, actually, so I'm going to go grab some dinner. Look, sorry I didn't get to answer the last few comments, but thank you so much, sincerely, for a wonderful, wonderful year here on YouTube. It's been a pleasure interacting with you all, and long may it continue into 2026. I will, of course, be bringing you more content. Don't miss tomorrow's video, which is an interesting one on a site I've been managing for 10 years now. It's a wildflower meadow that I've been brought back in to kind of manage. So really, yeah, really looking forward to seeing your reactions on that one. It's a half-hour feature, so I'm sure Louise will be pleased with that. But yes, thank you everybody for the support through all of this year. It's just been wonderful, and yeah, I really hope to see you all in 2026. I hope you have a fabulous Christmas. Just keep doing what you're doing, keep making habitats for wildlife, and yeah, thank you so much, as I say, for the support. And if you've got any questions, drop me an email, like I say, enquiries@wildregarden.com. Yeah, and I'll be happy to answer those. It'd be wonderful. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully there'll be more of these lives in the new year, and hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas. Eat too much, drink too much, but stay wild. Thanks ever so much, everyone. Take care. See you all in 2026. Bye for now.